down in round number 1. A trade between the Chargers and Cardinals that landed Ashton Jeanty in Los Angeles. A trade between the Rams and Buccaneers that landed Colston Loveland in Los Angeles. And then that ends up with Luther Burden III coming back to Denver as the 20th overall pick. And I wanted to keep this conversation going to just ask you, Cecil, I think I know what you're going to say about them being different guys, but if they were to do this hypothetical situation and pick a wide receiver at number 20, are they telling us that they I mean, I know the draft is in April, but would that mean they extended Courtland Sutton for 2 years and only there's 1 year of guaranteed money? Like, if they're looking at a wide receiver at number 20, don't you think they'd be okay with letting Courtland Sutton walk?
Yeah, and I think that's tied into it, like what happens with Sutton. I believe something positive will happen in terms of an extension for Courtland Sutton. You just saw the reports breaking from the NFL Combine about the Buffalo Bills and wide receiver Khalil Shakir and how they've given him, I believe it was 4-year contract extension. I don't think it's 4 years for Sutton, but a 3-year contract extension could be something that's honestly on the table or in the works or what have you. I know it was, I believe, Tom Pelissero saying, hey, during this combine, you might actually see some of those contracts reworked, right? Daniel Jeremiah also has said something like that.
Yeah,
of like,
DJ.
DJ said that. So it's one of those things where, okay, business is happening because the NFL is together. It's the scouting combine. And because of that, is it a possibility that you could get something done with Sutton this week? Yeah, I'm not predicting it. I haven't heard that, but it's not outside the realm of possibilities. If something doesn't happen and that's the end of April and he's going into that final year of his contract, then maybe a Luther Burden would make sense there. I believe it would be a barometer for what you're doing or not doing behind the scenes with Courtland Sutton, if in fact Luther Burden would be the pick.
Okay. And Ashton Jeanty is another player that you have targeted in on and put your sights on. And we're getting a report out of, I'm assuming, Indy. Ryan Fowler is saying that here are the teams scheduled to meet with Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty. The Giants, the Broncos, the Vikings, Steelers, Colts, Bears, Chargers, the Ravens. The hell the Ravens doing? And the Saints would also be talking to one Ashton Jeanty. All those teams have first-round picks. The Ravens seems very strange to me, but I guess Derrick Henry can't do it forever. But, Cecil, the Broncos are on the list, which you assumed.
Yeah, the Broncos need to be on that list because of what he can do as a receiving threat and because of the college carries. Now, there's some things, and, you know, I hope to have an audience with Sean Payton, likely at the owners' meetings, where I can ask him merely this question. Because he was Marshall Faulk's running back coach at San Diego State. Mm-hmm. And you know what I heard back in the day? Oh, he's coming from the WAC. You know, that guy couldn't even have a good game against CSU.
Yeah.
For some reason, for whatever reason, whenever Marshall Faulk played the CSU Rams, he did not have a good game. Kev, you can look up those numbers if you'd like. They're not great, Bob. So, like, you would hear that. And Faulk was the number 2 overall pick, turned into a Hall of Fame back. Of course, a huge part of the greatest show on turf. And, you know, Peyton Manning loves Marshall Faulk. You know, was there with him for one season during his rookie year and, you know, had such an impact on him as thus, you know, the greatest quarterback in the NFL, at least in Kev's eyes, loves Marshall Faulk. Well, Marshall Faulk was downtrodden because, his workload and San Diego State ran him to the ground and, he played in the WAC. Who cares? It's nobody's. Well, now you're hearing similar things. I've seen this before. Again, I'm old. I've seen this movie before. And it's, he played in the Mountain West. Who's he playing against? Nobody. And he had 700 million carries. You know what Sean Payton provides? Sean Payton provides touches without the carries, without the damage that you would take. As he's done it time and time again, we've highlighted the numbers. Alvin Kamara's never had 1,000 yards rushing. But he's 1,500 all-purpose yards all the time. Why? Because you're sharing the workload. You're sharing the workload. In fact, if I was a representative of Ashton Jeanty, I would suggest the Broncos as a prime destination because you know you're going to get work, but you're not going to get overworked. He goes to the Chargers, he'll be done after his rookie contract because Jim Harbaugh will run him into the ground, or it'll be like a Christian McCaffrey situation where Christian's great, we love him, but it just seems like his body's broken all the time. Every time you turn around, Christian's battling another injury. that could happen to Ashton Jeanty, who does compare favorably to Christian McCaffrey, who, of course, was a top 10 pick for Carolina years ago.
See, with this is going to sound insensitive, but it actually is insensitive, too. I don't care about Ashton Jeanty's body and the way that it breaks down. I care that he goes to Los Angeles and makes that team that much better than they are the Denver Broncos right now. And like I said, it's... Man, if you look at this situation, and we're talking about a third and a sixth and then a pick swap in the first to go get Ashton Jeanty, which the latest mock has, you still have your second. So if the Broncos were to play this game, you get Ashton Jeanty at what was it, 16 there with Arizona, and then you still have the 51st overall pick where you can still land a tight end. No, it's not going to be Colston Loveland, but it can be one of those other tight ends that we talked about of a Harold Fannin, a Mason Taylor, some of these other options that are there. So then you'd be coming out of your first few picks with Ashton Jeanty and one of your tight ends and have lost one of the 3 6-round pick. It's not that big of a risk for the Denver Broncos or whomever, in this case the Chargers, would be to make that trade.
Yeah, and you've got to be ready and you've got to have willing partners. The great thing about, and we get in a Calvin Booth situation in this our conversation here, because George Paton has a sterling reputation across the league. Sterling reputation.
You mean he can pick up the phone and they'll answer?
Exactly. He's not awkward. And he'll talk to people.
Yeah.
George Paton, from what I've been told by people around the league, it's like he's a joy to you get the phone call. And we all have that in our own lives, right? It's not Don't Be That Guy Wednesday, but we have that in our lives where, like, someone will call me. One, I'm a text guy. I'm not a call guy. So anytime someone calls me, I'm just kind of annoyed, honestly, unless it's, family member or whatever.
Straight up, don't call me.
Yeah.
Just don't
pretty
call.
Much. Yeah. So you get that and you see on the screen, oh, man, he's calling me? George Paton is the type of guy where you're like, I wonder what George has got for me. You know what I mean? Like, just a sterling reputation, known as a relationship guy, known as a strong relationships. This is almost and strong relationship with agents as well, which is also part of this mix. Completely opposite of John Elway, where it's like agents hated working with John Elway because he was so difficult. He had that used car salesman type of attitude, which is great if you're slanging BMWs. It's not real great if you're trying to sign Von Miller after a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Getting cropped out of the White House picture.
Or pay Philip Lindsay his money.
Exactly. Phil's still looking for that, man. I just feel bad for him. But, like, you have George Paton there. He does business the right way, and people will, be more likely to be willing to work with a George Paton than they will other GMs out there.
I want to know what's on your timeline. Cecil, I know you got a few things to share with what's on your X. You just brought it up, Von Miller. Saw a story about Von Miller and a quote from Sean McDermott about maybe